All right, in this lesson, we're going to learn how to graph a line through a given point with a given slope. So you'll be given a point and the slope, and you're going to be asked to graph the line. In a previous lesson, you learned how to graph a line where the slope was given and the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is a point. So this is the same thing, the same idea. You're going to use that same approach with this. Now, remember, one of the things you're going to use is the fact that we can define the slope to be rise over run. Okay, rise over run. And that's what we're going to use to graph these lines, because you'll be given a slope and you'll be given a point. Now, one of the other things you have to remember is this. So one of the other things you have to remember is that to graph a line, you need to know 2 points in that line. All right? And in these problems, you're going to know one of them. You just have to find another. And to find the other one, you're going to use rise over run. So let's go ahead and look at an example. So let's look at example number 1. Example number 1. Okay, number 1. So here's number 1. So you're told that the slope is a -3. And you're told that the line passes through the point -5, -2. Now remember, to graph a line, you need to know 2 points, right? 2 points in that line. Well, here is one of them. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to plot that point. So -5, -2. Now remember, -5, -2, my x coordinate is -5 and my y coordinate is -2, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and plot that point. So you're going to plot the point. So remember, you start the origin to plot that point. To plot a point, you start the origin. Since x is -5, I'm going to go to the left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then y is -2. Since y is -2, I'm going to go down 2. 1, 2. So there's the point right here. There's the point. This is a point, -5, -2. Okay? -5, -2. Now remember, the slope is negative. So remember, since the slope is negative, so let's make a note of that. Note, since the slope is negative, the slope is negative, the line falls from left to right. Okay? All right. So I know that since the slope is negative, I'm going to get a line that goes to this point, and it'll fall from left to right. So it'll look something like this. All right, so all we have to do, though, is find that other point. Okay, now to find the other point, I'm going to use the fact that slope is rise over run. Okay, now, see, so when students think of rise over run, they think of a fraction, and they say, and they look at this and then they get a little confused sometimes because they don't see a fraction here. But you got to remember that -3, I can write as -3 divided by 1, right? Okay, and so let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and write the slope as -3 divided by 1. And so therefore, my rise is a -3 and my run is a +1. All right, so we're going to talk about rise over run when we plot that other point. Okay, so to find the other point, always start from the point, from one of the points on the line that you know of. So I know that this is a point on that line, so that's where I must start. Okay? All right, now my rise is -3. Now remember, rise, let me go ahead and put that here. So when you think of rise, think up, down. Okay? Up, down. When you think of run, think left, right. Left, right. So rise, up, down, like that. And then run, right, left. Okay? And some students, they use this fact that when they run, they prefer to run on a horizontal flat surface. And so they use that idea to remind them that run means left, right. Okay? And then rise means up, down. All right. So that's what we're going to use here. And so since my rise is -3, I know I'm going to have to go up, down. But then the question becomes, well, do I go up or do I go down? Well, that's very simple. You look at the sign. So negative. Since it's negative, I go down 3. All right, so from this point that you know of already, you're going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. Now don't put a dot there because you haven't used a run yet. All right. So we go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And so then the run's a positive 1, right? So remember, run, go right, left. So you got to remember now that since my run is positive, I'm going to go to the right. So I'm going to go to the right 1. So I went down 3. 1, 2, 3, and then to the right 1, and there is my other point. There's the other point. Now all you have to do is sometimes they'll ask you to label it, so let's go ahead and label that. And notice it is falling, right? Because the slope was negative. All right, so let's go ahead and label it. So the coordinates of this point right here, you go to we went to the left 4 and then down 5. So it'll be -4, comma, -5. And then all you do is draw your line. That's all you do. All right, so let's go ahead and draw that line. And don't forget to draw your arrows. Don't forget to draw your arrows, and there's a line. All right. Now I want to just remind you about something. So you see how we wrote the slope, and I'm gonna do that on another sheet of paper. Okay. So remember this is still number 1. So remember we you were given that the slope is -3. All right. So and we said that -3 I can write as -3/1. I hope you also know that even though I can write -3 as -3/1, it's also equivalent to 3 divided by -1, right? So -3 divided by 1 is the same as 3 divided by -1. So it does not matter whether the negative sign's in the numerator or the denominator. All right, now remember though, in that previous one, I used -3 divided by 1. I want to show you that if you had used, for your rise over run, if you had used 3 divided by -1, you would still get the same line. So watch. Very simple. So remember your point. The point is -5, -2. So let's go ahead and plot that point. So go to the go to the left 5 and then down 2. So remember, there's your point right here. So that's the point, -5, -2. All right, now from that point, my rise is a +3. And my run's a -1. So since my rise is a +3 from that point, rise being positive, I go up 3. So 1, 2, 3, right? And my run is a -1. So remember, run, you go left, right. So since it's negative, I go to the left 1. And that's right here. So I went up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then to the left 1. And there's the other point. And so the coordinates of that point is -5, +1. So -5, 1. And then you draw your line, and there's the graph. All right, there's the graph. Let me go ahead and do a better job with that. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw the line, and we get this. All right. Now remember, it did not matter whether you use 3 divided by -1 or -3 divided by 1. I want you to notice that the two lines are the same. See that? All right. So they're the same. So notice -5, 1, -5, 1 is I'm sorry, that's not -5, 1. That's -6. Excuse me, -6. So when we went to the numbers here are so small, sometimes it's hard to see it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1. So -6, 1. So I want you to notice that, and then I didn't draw this very well, did I? See this point right here? It didn't exactly go through that point. So I guess I should have used a pencil. We see with a pencil you can always erase. So I should have done a better job graphing that line because I wanted to use that to help explain something. All right, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and erase this at some point or use liquid paper, but notice this point here, -6, 1, is this right here. All right, so the point being that it did not matter. It did not matter whether you use -3 divided by 1 or are 3 divided by negative 1. You would still get the same line. Okay? All right, so I went ahead and I used liquid paper to make the line look a little bit better. But you have a pencil, so you'll be doing this with a pencil, so you'll be able to erase it and draw a little bit better. All right. So remember, always make sure that when you draw the line, it actually goes through that point. All right, that was number 1. So let's look at number 2. So it's not difficult, right? Very simple process to draw a line where the slope is given and the point is given. All right, let's look at number 2. All right, so this is number 2. All right, so the slope is a positive 1/4. So since the slope is positive, you know that the line's going to rise. It'll do something like this. And you know that the line passes through the point -2, 5. And remember, to graph a line, you have to know 2 points to graph a line. You know one of them. One of them is a point, -2, 5. So it's going to plot that point. So remember, this is your x, this is your y. So to plot that point, start at the origin. Since x is -2, I'm going to go to the left 2. And since y is a positive 5, I go up 5. So there's the point, -2, 5, right here. Okay? And then from that point, you're going to use a slope. So the slope is 1/4, which is rise over run, right? Rise over run. You're going to use that point to draw to plot the other point. So my rise is a positive 1. My rise is a positive 1. So I'm going to go up 1, since it's positive. And my run is a positive 4. So I'm going to go up 1 and then to the right 4. So up 1, to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's the other point. Okay? Now, I want to remind you. So remember in that previous discussion, do y'all agree that 1/4 is equivalent to -1 divided by -4? So remember, a negative divided by negative is a positive, right? I just want to just show you something. So we have rise over run, correct? There's your slope, rise over run. And so it did not matter whether you used a 1/4 or whether you used -1 divided by -4. I want to show you, you'll get that same line. So watch. All right, so from the point that you were given earlier, so from this point, -2, 5, right here, my rise is a -1, right? So that means I go down 1. So right now I'm here. And then my run is a -4. All right, so from this point, I go down 1 and then to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. And I want you to notice, do y'all see that those 3 points are on the same line? So it did not matter. It did not matter whether you used 1/4 or whether you used -1 divided by -4. Now, obviously, almost all of you are going to use a 1/4 because that's what was given, right? But I just wanted to show you that even if you rewrote 1/4 as equivalent to -1 divided by -4, you still get that same line. You get a different point, but you get that same line. And the whole idea was to graph that line. So remember, a line has an infinite number of points. You're using this point and the slope to find the other point. All right, so that was number 2. It's not difficult at all, a fairly simple process. All right, here's number 3. So the slope this time is a -3/4, and the line contains, so sometimes you see the word contain rather than the word passes. So the line contains the point -6, -4. So remember, to graph a line, you need 2 points, so you know one of them. So one of my points is -6, -4. So my x-coordinate is -6, and my y-coordinate is -4. So from the origin, I'm going to go ahead and plot that point. So I'm going to go to the left 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then down 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's the point. This is the point, -6, -4. So -6, -4. And remember, the slope is negative, so that means that your line is going to fall, right? It's going to fall from left to right. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and use this point and the slope to find the other point. So you got to find the other point. You need 2 points to graph a line. So we know that the slope is rise over run. And I know I can write negative 3/4 as negative 3 divided by 4, right? Okay, so here is my rise, and here's my run. So let's start with the rise. So from this point, my rise is negative 3. So remember, rise, you go up and down. Since my rise is negative, I go down. So 1, 2, 3, right here. So I don't put a dot there, right? Because you hadn't taken care of your run yet. So 1, 2, 3. Now my run's a positive 4. So from here, I go to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there's the other point. And so let's go ahead and label that point right here. So that point, you start at the origin, you go to the left 2, and then down 7. Left 2, down 7. See that? All right, so that's negative 2, negative 2, negative 7. And then there's your line. Okay, there's your line. Now, before I draw that line, I just want to remind you. So remember, you can remember the slope was negative 3/4, right? So it did not matter whether you said negative 3 divided by 4, or you could have said the rise over run to be 3 divided by negative 4. It did not matter. And I want to show you that. I want to show you it did not matter. Now, always start with the point that's given. So the point that was given was negative 6/4. So right here. So if you want to use 3 divided by negative 4, let's see what happens. So my rise this time is a positive 3, right? So I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And my run is a negative 4. So I go to the left 4. So let's do that again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I don't have enough grid, so I'm going to have to estimate. So let's say that's here. Okay? So let's do it again. So from this point that was given, I went up 3. 1, 2, 3, and then to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this is the point right here. Start at the origin. So that's the point. This is negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, and then negative 1. So that's negative 10, negative 1. And then I just want you to notice, though, see all these points lie on the same line. Okay? They lie on the same line. So it did not matter. It does not matter whether you write negative 3/4 as negative 3 divided by 4 or 3 divided by negative 4. You'll get different points. You saw that. So if you use negative 3/4, you get this point. If you use 3 divided by negative 4, you get that point. But you get the same line. And the whole point was to graph the line. All right, that's number 3. All right, let's look at another one. Number 4. All right, so this is number 4. So the slope is a positive 4, and the line passes through the point 3, 2. All right, so remember to graph a line. To graph a line, you need 2 points. So I know one of them already. So that's going to be the one in that first quadrant. So let's go ahead and plot that point. So from the origin, I'm going to go to the right 3 and then up 2, because that's your x and that's your y. So right 3, up 2. So there's the point right here, 3, 2. Now know that the slope is positive, so your line's going to rise, right? So it'll go up and it'll rise. As you go from left to right, it'll go up like this. It'll rise. Okay, now let's talk about the slope. So remember the slope, so we're going to use the slope to find that other point. So remember to graph a line, you need 2 points. The slope is rise over run. I know that 4 I can write as 4 divided by 1, right? So let's go and do that. So, and that's what most students will use. Almost all students will use that, 4 divided by 1. So my rise is a positive 4, and my run is a positive 1, right? So from that point, the rise, since it's positive, I go up 4. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is where I'm at. And then my run's a positive 1, so I go to the right 1. So let's do it again. Up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's the right 1. So there's your other point. All right, and then let's go ahead and label that point. So from the origin, I'm going to go 4 units to the right and then 6 units up. So it'll be 4, 6. Now, before I draw that other point, now remember, that's all you need, right? So you can just go ahead and draw your line. But I want just to remind you about something. So y'all remember that 4 divided by 1 means the same thing as negative 4 divided by negative 1, right? So let's just go ahead and I just want to show you that if not I don't think anyone will use this. Most students will revert to 4 divided by 1. But just to show you that if you use negative 4 divided by negative 1, you'll get a different point, but it'll lie in the same line. All right, so let's do that. So slope is rise over run, which is negative 4 divided by negative 1. So your rise is negative 4, your run is a negative 1. All right, from the point that was given, remember 3, 2. So from that point, 3, 2, let's use rise over run. Okay, so my rise is negative 4, so I go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my run is a negative 1, so I go to the left 1, right here. Okay, so let's do it again. So I go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the left 1. All right, and so all those 3 points should lie in that same line. And they do. All right, so there's your line. Don't forget to draw your arrows. All right, so if you use a slope 4 divided by 1, you get this point. If you use a slope negative 4 divided by negative 1, you get this point, but you get the same line. Okay? All right, let's do one more. So we'd look at number 5. So it's not difficult, fairly simple idea. All right, so this is number 5. So the slope this time is a negative 2/5, and the line contains the point negative 3, 0. So remember, we keep saying this, to graph a line, you need 2 points. So you know one of them. So here's one of my points. So this is my x-coordinate. This is my y-coordinate. So my x-coordinate is negative 3. My y-coordinate is 0. All right, so let's go ahead and plot that point. So from the origin, you're going to go to the left 3, because that's your x-coordinate. Go to the left 3. 1, 2, 3. Now my y-coordinate is 0, so that means I stay there. I don't go up, I don't go down. I stay there. So this point, negative 3, 0, happens to lie on the x-axis. All right, so negative 3. Since y is 0, I stop. Okay, so that's the point right here. This is the point, negative 3, 0. Now remember, the slope is negative. So the slope is negative, your line is going to fall, right? All right, so keep that in mind. All right, so I know that slope is rise over run, and in this case, it's negative 2 divided by 5. And so my rise is a negative 2, my run is a positive 5. All right, so let's go ahead and plot that point. Plot the other point. All right, so you start from the point you already know, right here, negative 3, 0. From that point, since my rise is negative 2, I go down 2. 1, 2. So I'm right here. Okay? I'm right there. And then my run's a positive 5. So I went down 2, 1, 2. And then since my run is positive, I go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And then all you do is just draw your line. Now let's go ahead and label this. So this is a point 2, negative 2 right here. So that's 2, negative 2. All right, and then you would just draw your line, right? So you just draw your line connecting those 2 points. But let me just remind you again that someone else, just remind you, someone else could have said, instead of saying negative 2 divided by 5, they could have said 2 divided by negative 5, and that's quite all right. You'll get a different point, but it'll be on that same line. So let's do that. So my rise is 2 this time, and my run's a negative 5 this time. So from the point that you were given, which is negative 3, 0, I'm going to rise 2. So that's positive, so I'm going to go up 2. 1, 2. See that? And my run's negative, so my run's negative 5, so I'm going to go to the left. So I go up 2, and then to the left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then notice when I use my ruler, all those points, let me align it as best I can, all those points lie in the same line. And before I do that, let's go ahead, well, let's do that now so I don't have to come back and trace over those points. But I want you to notice that when you label this point here, from the origin, you went to the left 8 and then up 2. So this is the point, negative 8, 2. Okay? All right, and so that is the lesson on the topic on graphing a line through a given point with a given slope. All right? All right, so that'll be the end of this lesson.